I think first I'd like to point out that Representative McKinney, again, we're seeing these power outages are directly contributing to health problems,
Yeah,
right? He has a
100%.
newborn baby from the hospital. He can't go home and take care of his child,
Yeah.
right? He's got to find alternative means. So, luckily he had the means to go to a hotel, but many of my patients don't have those
Yeah,
means,
exactly.
right? Where are they going to end up, right? I have many patients who are in the hospital, and it's not just the direct power outages. I mean, there's heat waves, right, where people are using their air conditioners trying to stay healthy. We're seeing people come in for heat stroke. And then, the other end of it is some of the climate change that's happening. Unfortunately, regardless of where you are on this issue, the climate is warming, right?
Yeah.
And that's causing more and more natural disasters, flooding, right? And we don't have infrastructure for our sewer systems, right? Especially in the Detroit area. We haven't invested in these. That's causing damage. That's causing infection. That's causing displacement. Wildfire smoke. Everyone remembers the wildfires in Canada. I've had multiple patients who were admitted to the hospital for exacerbations of COPD or asthma just because of the smog outside, right? These are issues that they normally would, they're doing everything else right. They're taking their inhalers. They're going to their doctor's appointments, but they can't control these things, right? They can't control the climate, right? So we need to try and invest in solutions that are helping to support and stabilize our grid to keep power outages from happening and also reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. I got involved with this because the more I learned about climate, my wife and I have been doing some reading. We realized that investing in kind of these clean energy initiatives is a way to kind of help support inequities, right? Basically that these are social justice problems that community solar can help address. And I think for me personally, I realized that, as much as I enjoy my work as a doctor, and I feel like I do a lot of good work in the hospital, there's only so much I can do. And I think that I really wanted to take some of the time that I had outside of the hospital to make more of an impact, because I think that these changes can really affect public health on a much larger scale than what I can do alone in hospital. So I think if you talk to your doctors, if you talk to physicians, they're gonna tell you about these problems. I don't know if everybody is really making the connection, right? That initiatives like solar and how the climate is directly impacting, but it's not too much of a jump, right? This is very easy to get to when you really start looking at the root causes for why are these things happening? Why are these things happening more? And unfortunately, I think it's going to become more common. Both from a grid usage perspective, we're going to be using more of our grid, and also the complications of natural disasters and kind of the effects of people who are being displaced or without power, and how that's going to affect our community's health. So unfortunately, I don't think that there's like a huge movement. I'm not talking with my colleagues about this every day. But I think it's an awareness issue, right? I think if you really, start talking about the root causes, like why are more people coming to the hospital? It's not, people are saying that this is people are coming from out of the country and clogging up our emergency departments. That's just wrong. That's just not true. What I'm seeing is the local community members who are utilizing the emergency department system more because they can't afford, the medications that are keeping them out of the hospital. And why is that, right? There's a myriad number of reasons, but I think having to pay utility bills that are rising, right? And you have a monopoly that is in direct control of these prices. How can I tell my patients to go home and, take these 2 medications, which I think might help down the road, when they're saying, I need to turn the lights on tomorrow, So Patty, to answer your question, I think that unfortunately, no, I don't think there's a huge movement in the medical community, but I'm hoping to change that. And I think it's not too hard to get there when you really start looking at some of these issues.